Nurtured by the Gandhian philosophy of non-violence, peace was a passion with the Indian National Congress. Therefore, even when the Western powers were following the policy of appeasement, Mahatma Gandhi had written to Hitler, the one man who could prevent a war and save humanity. Must you pay this price for an object, however worthy it may appear to you? Will you listen to the appeal of one who has deliberately shunned the method of war? Hitler embarked on his misadventure in September 1939, which was to cost over 30 million lives. India had been dragged into the war without consulting its people. The Congress Working Committee met at Wardha on the 14th of September to discuss the grave crisis. The Congress issued a manifesto condemning the fascist aggression of Poland and said, "A free democratic India will gladly associate herself with the free nations for mutual defense against the aggression. If war is to defend the imperialist interests, then India can have nothing to do with it. If, however, the issue is democracy and freedom, cooperation must be on the basis of equality." In February 1940, Mahatma Gandhi called on Gurudev Tagore at Shantiniketan. Gurudev described Gandhiji as one belonging to all humanity. The Mahatma said, "Vishwa Bharati carries God's protection because it is the creation of an earnest soul. Shantiniketan will never cease to grow so long as Gurudev's spirit rules over it." 19th of March 1940, Maulana Azad presided over the annual session of the Indian National Congress at Ramgarh. The Congress condemned the Viceroy's declaration of India as a belligerent country without any reference to her people. The Congress declared, "Nothing short of complete independence can be accepted by the people of India. They alone can properly shape their own constitution and determine their relations with the other countries of the world." Jawaharlal Nehru said that India can take the full share of the responsibility of fighting against fascism if immediate independence is granted. He was supported by Maulana Azad, Sardar Patel and Rajagopalachari. In March 1940, the Muslim League met at Lahore and passed a resolution which demanded the partition of India on communal lines. Jinnah declared that the constitutional settlement must be governed by the fact that India was not one nation, but two. Maulana Azad reacted sharply. "Partition on communal lines is absurd and meaningless." Sir Ghulam Hussain Hidayatullah criticized communal politics and said, "Let our one endeavor be to unite and not divide our country." When the Nazi forces occupied Holland, Belgium, Denmark, Norway and France, England stood alone and wanted India's support. The Viceroy invited Gandhiji for talks on the 29th of June and informed him that Britain was willing to give a broader share to Indians in the administration of the country. Gandhiji sympathized with Britain and France. Gandhiji asked the Viceroy to recognize the Indian people's right to free speech with all its implications, or deny the right and face the consequences. On the 7th of July, the Working Committee met in Delhi. Rajagopalachari's resolution was adopted. Given freedom, India would wage war as one of the allies. The British did not accept the offer. Gandhiji was requested to plan the next move. The Mahatma did not want to hamper the British war efforts by a mass movement. He decided to launch individual satyagraha to protest against the dragging of India into the war and to court arrest. He said, "The essence of satyagraha is not to shout slogans, but to carry out in letter and spirit the word of your chosen general." The first satyagrahi was Vinoba Bhave. He was jailed. The second satyagrahi, Jawaharlal Nehru, was arrested at Gorakhpur. In his defense, Nehru said, "It is not me that you are seeking to judge and condemn, but the hundreds and millions of the people of India, and that is a large task, even for a proud empire. It is a small matter what happens to me in this trial or subsequently. Individuals count for little. They come and go, as I shall go when my time is up. But it is no small matter what happens to India and her millions of sons and daughters. This is the issue before me, and that ultimately is the issue before you, sir. If the British government imagines it can continue to exploit them as it has done for so long in the past, then it is grievously mistaken." Jawaharlal Nehru was sentenced to 4 years' rigorous imprisonment. Raja Gopalachari, Maulana Azad, Sardar Patel, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, Acharya Kripalani, and a host of others courted arrest. Satyagraha continued right up to the end of 1941. Tens of thousands were languishing in British jails. Government prohibited the publication of news of the arrest of satyagrahis. In protest, Gandhiji suspended the publication of the Harijan. Subhash Chandra Bose went on a hunger strike in Alipur jail. He was released and confined to bed at his home in Calcutta. On the 26th of January 1941, Subhash Bose made a dramatic escape from his house arrest. He reached Berlin and raised the Azad Hind Fauj. His aim was to fight for India's independence. On the 7th of December, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. The United States entered the war, enlarging the area of conflict. In the next few days, the Japanese army occupied Shanghai and Thailand and landed in Malaya, posing a threat to Europe's colonial interests in Asia. In order to secure India's support, all political prisoners were released. The Congress Working Committee met at Bardoli on the 23rd of December 1941. The Congress gave India's offer of cooperation as an equal partner, provided the British government created conditions in which India could honorably obtain freedom and democracy. Its resolution said, "The whole background in India is one of hostility and distrust of the British government, and not even the most far-reaching promises can alter this background, nor can a subject India offer voluntary or willing help to an arrogant imperialism which is indistinguishable from fascist authoritarianism." President Roosevelt of the United States and General Chiang Kai-shek, President of China, urged Churchill to find a solution to the Indian question. Allied war efforts in the East needed India's full support. With the fall of Rangoon, war had come to India's borders. Eventually, Winston Churchill yielded to the pressure of the Allies and announced in the British Parliament that Sir Stafford Cripps would be sent to India with a proposal. Cripps arrived in Delhi on the 22nd of March, 1942. The Congress President, Maulana Azad, met him on the 25th of March. Jinnah and all the other leaders called on Stafford Cripps 2 days later. During the discussions, Jawaharlal Nehru, Maulana Azad and Raja Gopalachari were keen on an early settlement. The British played up the question of minorities and invited the leaders of practically every party, every community, every group and every shade of opinion. The Congress, the Muslim League, the princes, representatives of the Hindus, the Christians, Anglo-Indians, the Sikhs, the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, commercial interests, and others. While agreeing to the principle of self-determination, the British proposed that an elected assembly be convened at the end of the war to frame the constitution for India. The princes would be given 1/3 of the seats. The proposal gave to the provinces the right to join the Indian Union or to form independent states. Similarly, it was proposed that the right of non-accession be granted to the 600 and odd princely states. This was not acceptable, as it would lead to the balkanization of India. It was also proposed to reconstitute the Viceroy's Executive Council with only Indian members. The British, however, wanted to retain control of defense, foreign affairs, and finance. The Congress insisted that the defense portfolio should be in Indian hands, and the Viceroy's reconstituted Executive Council should have the full powers of a Dominion cabinet. But the British did not agree. Gandhiji asked, "Why did you come if this is all you have to offer?" The Congress found the proposals vague. The Cripps proposal was rejected. Jawaharlal Nehru's reaction was,
"The clock of destiny is ticking away, and war and danger hover over the world. We shall have to face their consequences also, and we can only face them by forgetting our petty troubles and conflicts and pulling all together so that we might, by our united strength, make India independent."
Although the Cripps mission failed, the Congress still had hopes of a settlement. Jawaharlal Nehru said, the whole issue was nationalism versus British imperialism. Perhaps the British government never intended to find a solution. As Churchill was to say, "I have not become the first minister of His Majesty's government to preside over the liquidation of the British Empire." The Congress Working Committee met at Wardha on the 14th of July 1942 and adopted a resolution. It said, "Events happening from day to day and the experience that the people of India are passing through confirm the opinion of the Congressman that British rule in India must end immediately because India in bondage can play no effective part in defending herself. The freedom of India is thus necessary not only in the interest of India, but also for the safety of the world, for the ending of Nazism, fascism, militarism, and other forms of imperialism." The Congress is anxious to avoid the experience of Malaya, Singapore, and Burma, and desires to resist the invasion of India by the Japanese or any foreign power. This is possible only if India feels the glow of freedom. the threat of the invasion of India was growing. A savage war was being fought along India's eastern frontiers. Kohima and Imphal were soon to become fields of grim battle. The Working Committee met in Bombay on the 4th of August to discuss the crisis. The Congress was agreeable to the stationing of the Allied armed forces in India for the duration of the war, but demanded the immediate withdrawal of British rule. The Congress declared that it would be reluctantly compelled to launch a non-cooperation movement to vindicate her political rights and liberty. The All India Congress Committee met in Bombay on the 7th of August 1942. The danger to India's eastern frontiers was causing deep concern, and the Congress wanted to be a party to the defense of the country. On the 8th of August 1942, Jawaharlal Nehru moved the Quit India resolution, which said, "Ending of British rule in this country is a vital and immediate issue on which depends the future of the war and the success of freedom and democracy. A free India will assure this success by throwing all her great resources into the struggle for freedom and against the aggression of Nazism, fascism, and imperialism. The peril of today, therefore, necessitates the independence of India and the ending of British domination." The Congress President, Maulana Azad, supported the resolution and asked the British to withdraw as masters. He pointed out that power, when it comes, will belong to the whole people of India. The Congress passed the Quit India resolution unanimously. It was decided to launch a non-violent, non-cooperation movement. The people of India were directed to face dangers as disciplined soldiers of India's freedom. Gandhiji advised, "Forget the differences between Hindus and Muslims and think of yourselves as Indians. Every one of you should from this moment consider yourself to be a free man or woman." He asked the people to do or die, either make India free or die in the attempt.